start by acknowledging we're on the homeland of the many diverse First Nations and Métis people who have walked this land since time immemorial. We are grateful to work, live, and learn on the traditional territory of Treaty 8. And moving on to our agenda. I notice that we've got some additions. One is the 9.1, capital budget and funding sources. And then we had 17.1, personnel in the confidential items. And we do have the council payroll timesheets. That should have been, or could have been attached in the, I guess, council information or correspondence. Is that where it was before? I can't remember where we had it the last time when we put them in.
Just with reports, council reports.
Oh, it was under council reports? Okay, so that would be like 16.8 or just,
Yeah, just received for
yeah. The council expense claims. So we have those three changes. Is there anything else?
So Mayor, I realize I'm due back, but did I catch you right? There's 17.1, 16.8, and 9.1, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. I also know that we talked about this last council meeting, January 14th, but I'm not sure what the next, like, I still don't see the org chart or the committee chart here. Were we intending to go back, or was our 8.7 from last meeting, was that it for discussion?
I'll ask our CAO that question, and where is that at?
Well, sorry, yeah, we didn't put it with this one, but definitely the next meeting we will.
We're turning you around again, Sasha, so I can see you when we vote and everything. Otherwise, oh, can you?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, there, yep. And now I can see you without turning my head around.
Well, some of us can do that, right?
Yeah.
Others of us can't. Sasha, so of the committees that you were on before that you want to be reinstated on, do you know if they have meetings that are upcoming that we can?
Well, that's exactly why I asked at the last meeting, because there were 2 meetings upcoming, and then the third one is February 4th. So do you meet before February 4th?
No, we don't.
We don't.
We meet on the
So those
11th.
are the reasons I asked.
What's on the 4th?
Our, what is that? It's the attraction committee. That was actually postponed from the 21st.
Oh, the attraction. We can do what we did last time and put that through. I mean, it becomes time sensitive at this point. We did say it was supposed to be here, right? Like this is.
Well, it was supposed to be on the 1st January 14th. David, I know that you've got a full plate and a big agenda. Do you know why it wasn't on this agenda?
I didn't even think of it, so it's my fault. I let it fall through the cracks here,
Okay, no worries. Thank you.
but we'll certainly include it the next time.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, can I get a motion to adopt?
Actually,
Oh,
back to you, Mayor. How did you want to handle that? Did you want to add it in as a line item again, just for that one offshoot, or what do you want to do?
are you all right with adding it in at the next meeting?
She'll miss a meeting.
I am.
What? It's one meeting, right?
It is, but it's, we've had a long break and it's sort of reestablishing, just like the airport, these don't meet often, it's quarterly, so a big gap between the spring and the winter is and it's, I also chair that committee, which, it's been a long absence. We kind of did a little straw poll about whether or not we keep it, how do we want to refresh it going forward, so it's kind of a critical junction point, and it's only been 6 months.
Yeah.
I'd be okay with adding that as a line item in here to put her on here.
Yeah. Which, yeah, personally, either way, I'm all right with it, but if we can wait one more, or if we want to add it in for that, and then we're done with it, is that?
Well, I mean, I know, but the thing is it was supposed to be here, right?
Well, we can add that in as, what would that be? Under,
Upcoming meetings? Sort of.
or it's sort of a business arising from the minutes, we can,
Yeah,
Business arising.
business arising, so that'll be
6.1 it is.
6.1. All right,
Just for clarity, and because I questioned what was, you said that you chair the meeting, Counselor Martins, but you haven't been there for now. Has that role changed possibly?
I don't know, I don't know what vice chair, Stuart took over, I mean, maybe Therese, you can tell us, I don't know.
I believe that's on the agenda for the next meeting, so it will be changing. But there was numerous meetings that were missed.
Yeah, big question, Councilor Dunn, I just was, the CAO of, Big Lakes County had reached out to cancel the last one, and so I don't know who he was talking with in the interim.
Agenda 8.9, the Water Management Conference, I've got you in the agenda for that. There's a report to council there.
Yeah, I see it.
Okay.
okay, can I get a motion with those, I guess it's 4 changes? Go ahead.
I move as amended.
As amended, all in favor? Okay, got it. All right, so we'll move, do we have a public delegation tonight? Does not look like it. All right, we'll move on to our seniors peace officers report. Can I get a motion on this one?
move to accept the senior peace officers December 24 report, with, yeah, for information. Just say the verbal, but.
Okay, perfect. So any questions on the report? I know our senior peace officer isn't here, but CEO, I'm sure will field any questions that we have. Just, I have one, is we have the new peace officer starting, when is that? Set,
February 4th,
February 4th, so next Monday?
yes.
Saturday is the first.
Oh, well, I'm thinking it'd probably be the Monday when I start.
It would be February, it would be that Monday.
Yeah, that's the Monday.
Yeah, I thought February 4th.
All right, anything else on this report? All right, we had the motion to receive for information, all in favor? Okay, thank you. I can see you when you, I wasn't sure, I thought your hand was off to the side, but when you moved it in front, I could see it better. All right, going to our meeting minutes. Can I get a motion on these? Yeah,
We'll just circle around here.
that's right, yeah.
Motion that council approve the minutes from the July 14th, 2025 regular meeting of council as presented.
Okay, is there any errors or omissions?
So I don't see 8.7, we added that in and we adopted the agenda for 2 amendments. 8.7 8.7 was titled committee, and I'm not seeing it in the minutes.
Yeah, I see it, it's under the adoption of the agenda, but it's not in the, yeah. Yeah, because we made the motion to reinstate you to those two committees at that time. Under 8.7.
I think it was Councilor Rico that made that motion, but I don't see it.
I don't
You don't
remember a
see
motion,
it.
I'm just gonna run up my notes quickly, cause I didn't remember anything for that 8.7.
Yeah, we did have the motion, and that's when Sasha or Councilor Martins was reinstated to the two committees.
I think so.
And that's when the discussion was to bring back the listing of them. Okay, any other errors or omissions in here?
Just wait for Bailey. to get
Yeah,
back
we'll
to
wait
it.
until she gets back, but I just wanted to see if there was anything else while she's gone. So did you see anything, Bailey?
I have 8.7.
Yeah.
Not written down though, so do we remember who wrote it? I don't think it's not in there.
Pretty sure I made the motion
Okay,
to reinstate Sasha to those two committees.
But maybe just go back and
I'm gonna
double
go
check
through
it
the recording.
in the recordings to be sure, but I know we definitely did go over that.
Do we want to hold off approving the minutes then until such time as we have that?
Well, we can
Because we can't
approve
really-
it with the right, whoever made the motion is amended, right, as amended with the motion to reinstate.
Yeah.
Are we all right with that? That, but we would need a friendly amendment to your motion
Friendly amendment.
with, okay.
Yeah.
All right. And just one other thing, Bailey, it's my OCD that gets the best of me sometimes, but I notice up at the top that the names are never sort of.
it
lined
does
up.
that when it transfers into the program that creates the packages. So on our Word document, they are, but once they are into the
Oh,
website, we don't have
You don't
control,
have
because it's
control,
an
no.
attachment, yeah.
all right. So with that, all in favor? Okay, it's carried. And moving on then to business arising, we added 6.1. We'll get a motion on this one, which was the reinstatement to the Community Health and Wellness Committee.
I'll make that.
Okay, Councilor Waco.
Move that Councillor Sasha Martins be reinstated to the, oh, crap, you just,
Community Health, or the Community Attraction and Retention Committee, or?
yeah, effective this date.
Now, who was the person on that? In the, I can't remember who it was, but anybody remember?
Who's on it?
Yeah,
Yeah, but there was two, and we had somebody else sitting in on it.
Oh.
Well, was it James? we should ask, but like for me, I just wanna make sure that that person's all right with.
I made the motion, so yes.
Okay, well, that's, if it's you, then that's you,
Yeah,
I just
fine.
wanted to
Yeah.
make sure, okay. Any other discussion on that? All in favor? Okay, it's carried. Moving on to winter walk day. Motion on this one? Go ahead.
The council direct administration to approve use of J.C. Park to host the winter walk day, snow clearing of the trails and waive the $50 fee.
All right. Any discussion on this motion? I'm just curious, who was it that approached us? Was it Alberta Health Services or one of their reps for this? Who's organizing this?
The safe, healthy, active people everywhere.
Yeah, I just hadn't heard of this. I mean, that's an organization, but they've obviously got somebody to drive it locally. I was just curious who was
Looks like Alberta Health
was
Services.
driving it. It does say Alberta Health Services, but, and many other agencies. I was just wondering who was doing it. Take it. Somebody's gotta be driving the bus, so to speak.
Well, we gotta know who to tell that we approve
Yeah.
this too.
Yeah, who do we tell?
Who was the actual person?
Yeah,
Probably Colette. Because she, doesn't she do the, community
Yeah.
events?
that's correct. Did you know how the request got into the town?
No, I don't.
Oh, okay. All right, is there any other questions on this? All in favor then? It's carried. That's a great event. I think it'll be wonderful. I was just curious on it. We have the Clean Energy Improvement Program. Can I get a motion on this one? Councillor Danaka?
The council accept this report on clean energy improvement program for information only.
All right. So discussion on this one. I know we've actually had this, I believe it was this council, or maybe it was the one before that it came to, and before.
I remember this. This is, I mean, I've got several questions about this. It's
So,
like,
start on,
okay, so,
First of all, why is there a delegation?
yeah, well,
Still,
so the town fronts the money for this,
That's right.
but we can't make any money off of that, is what I understood.
We'll get money back through the administration fees. So,
How much of the administration fees?
they're quite substantial. There is a slide here. Get it?
I think I'll just add in, this is not really a money maker
No.
for the town. This is,
We won't.
an added service to the community. It's a service, but not a money maker.
Costs us 15 grand to start.
It costs us,
That'll-
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll make that back.
well, depending
Well, I
on how
mean, but
many
it's-
people sign up.
That's right.
Well, I mean, I like the stats in here that, you know, most of our stuff in town is built in the 50s and 60s, I get it. Like, God. We gotta upfront this money though, right? What if everybody in town says, I need a new furnace? Maybe not everybody, but how many houses do we have in town? 600? Let's say half of them. Right? 50 grand a pop? And then businesses, they get up to $1 million. I like the idea, I just like, can we,
I can get more information.
yeah, cause I'll send you a list of my concerns.
Sure.
And I'll contact, somebody from,
Alberta municipalities. Yeah, because I think they had a workshop on this at the convention.
They did,
as
yeah,
well.
it was there, and I know that, from what I remember and listening to it, the uptake was not huge, like you're saying, half the population is going to take it. I remember the numbers were not that big in
Other
the other
communities don't have as old houses as we do. So.
Perhaps, yeah.
Well, I mean, really, let's be realistic here, right? What's the newest part of town, right? You got the Cornerstone development by Pratt. What else has been, the couple of those crescents, just down the road from the elementary school, those are fairly new, and Silverwood. The rest of our town was built in the 50s, 60s, and 70s, for the most part, right?
So the flip side of that, you know, just playing the devil's advocate in this is that that's why we should probably support it.
Oh, I'm just
Right?
worried about, because we have to, where the hell did I see that?
But, yeah, the admin fees, say on a 20,000 renovation, the admin fee is 1,000 for the property owner, for the, you know, the admin fee, and we share that with the Alberta municipalities.
So this is why I like the delegation, right? There's lots of questions. I'd like somebody that, because I have questions around the fact that they say that financing stays with the property, not the participant. What does that mean?
That means if you sell the property, it's just like a local.
It's a debenture.
levy. It sticks with the property tax, it stays with the property. The other people, the new buyers will end up paying for that energy efficiency furnace over the next 10, 15 years, however much life was left.
Is it, and another question I had is, are you able to pay this off early with no penalty? Right, if you pay your mortgage off early, they penalize you
Yeah,
for
that's
that.
good, that's a good question. It's not something that I saw covered in the material.
Yeah,
You can set the term, it doesn't have to be 25 years, you can set 10 years as your term, you know.
and it just goes against the property taxes, but the town has to borrow that money first from the bank. The bank's gonna give that money to us at no interest, like,
So that's the thing, like there's a statement in here that automatically for me became a red flag. It says reduce risk of not achieving the return on investment. So there is a risk, right? And that for me brings up a red flag. I agree, like it's a good program, except there's risk involved in terms of losing the taxpayers' dollars on something we invest in.
yeah.
I think the risk is with the property owner, that they won't get, you know, they spend 10,000 on a furnace, that they won't get that money back through the sale of their house, because people expect a furnace to heat it.
Yeah.
But maybe solar panels would be an enhanced marketing.
But you said though that the cost stays with the house, so that shouldn't be an issue for the homeowner, right? I don't know, I think, yeah,
And the other,
I struggle with all this.
yeah, property owners visit the CPAP website to pre-qualify and select a qualified contractor. What's a qualified contractor? Who decides who's qualified? Right, like, do they have to be,
apply to Alberta municipalities, and they have to meet certain criteria,
They have to take training.
and they have to take training dictated by Alberta municipalities.
Yeah.
See, and that was what I was gonna bring up in terms of that you have to use an approved contractor through Alberta municipalities. Now, is this contractor from wherever they may be gonna travel to High Prairie to install XYZ?
One of the advantages they list here is, you know, using local contractors. Increases local jobs, so, you know, it means they probably search for somebody in or close to High Prairie. Slave Lake or region, but it's right here on one of these slides.
Yeah, and the other thing, like, my other question on there was, administrator confirms project installation of the best funds for municipality, pays contractor, so, to me, this is like, we're floating the money up front.
We are.
And so now and it's like a no interest loan.
And then that's work to the finance department too.
Yeah, like this, there's,
Yeah, when I bring it, I brought this because it crossed my desk and said, okay, it's interesting, maybe there'd be some interest in it. Well, I did think it probably was brought up in prior years because of the number of municipalities that are all
yeah,
already on the program.
well, would we need another staff member to administrate this?
I would doubt it, but, it'd be-
I mean, our administration is thin as it is. To tax them with, not that we're gonna have a huge uptake, but to tax them with the administration of this particular program, I think is asking a lot, which,
It's death by 1,000 cuts. We keep piling more and more on the staff that we have.
well, I know, so, I mean, for me, it's a no to just be involved in that, but that's just me.
Yeah, just cause for me, there's too many, like, buyer's right to cancel, like, that's just out of the blue, what is that?
What does that mean? Yeah,
What is that? So I don't know.
There's just a lot of questions, obviously.
The buyer can cancel before, signing or shortly after signing the agreement. There's a certain amount of time they'll allow you to back out. Buyer's remorse.
well, I mean, if Alberta Munis wants to join us by Zoom at some point, and answer some of these questions, but, yeah, for now, I've received this for information, as Donna had said, and, see if they wanna join us and explain that in more detail.
Okay, sounds good.
Is that, that'd be fair, right? Yeah.
Okay, anybody else want to weigh in on this? We have a motion to receive it for information. All in favor? Opposed? Teresa, you had your hand up, okay? Yeah, okay, sorry, I missed it.
I wasn't even looking that way, I saw that.
No,
Well, city
This
close,
retirement thing is getting concerned.
city close.
you're very close. And I gotta check around. All right, we are on to 8.3, the Election Act bylaw. Can I get a motion on this?
The council direct administration to make the following changes to the bylaw. That's $5, sir.
No, that's terrible. I thought I hit the button too.
Took a look at the Elections Act thing there to, change things to have it where crim check and a deposit is required. You have to have that done before December 31st. So that needs to come out because
It's too late.
it's too late. The other question I had is you're putting Bailey in as a returning officer, but she's starting up in finance here with the new role. Will she have time? Is this perhaps something that we, whoever takes Bailey's place in that position that she's in now, is that something that perhaps they should be doing?
Or perhaps there should be maybe I should be the chief returning officer because of bringing in a new person in legislative services. We have received 4 applications, one person backed up. But we received about 9 or 10 applications, and we're interviewing for 3, and none of them have pure legislative service experience. So maybe it should be me as the chief returning officer, and for now, I don't think I wanna throw the new person in, I'd rather have Bailey as a substitute returning officer, maybe that would be better.
Sure. The other thing is moving the election to the Saturday before the Monday? No,
Okay, you'd rather have on Monday?
we should have our election when everybody else does.
Let's just do it up to.
And this is just me saying this, everybody else here, you can tell me to go to hell if you want. Yes, the rest of it looks good.
So the nomination day will be the 20th.
Of September. It's not right.
So
That's a Saturday.
I'm curious, where did the, needing a criminal record check come from? Is that part of the province's new requirements under the new,
That's there, what I read. I
Is
can
it,
confirm it.
or is that, yeah, I'm just wondering where that came from.
It is there.
It's there.
It's a requirement for all municipal councillors, or can the town ask for it?
It's on the website, so it's a requirement.
To me, it's a requirement.
Okay, so my question on that would be then, what happens to those criminal record checks? And somebody's got a DUI from 20 years ago, what happens? Does that go out to the public? Does somebody decide then that you can or you can't run, or what happens as a result of getting a criminal record check? Now, who
As
gets it
far as
done?
I've
Who
seen,
looks
it
at
didn't have, there was nothing there to say who decides or what happens. It just said, bring in a criminal record check.
Is that up to the individual that, what's the name that they use for that? The returning officer, is that up to the returning officer to mitigate that?
We can definitely look into it. Just as far as I've seen, there's no specifications on what happens with the criminal record check, if it's needed, but it is a requirement. You'll have to double check for that one.
It has to accompany the application.
Oh, and
But I'd really like to know what happens with it, right? Like, where does that information go? It's a big change and what's
Yeah.
happening, because you
Well-
never had to have that in the past, so you need to know.
not just where does the information go, but what is then the standard? Does the returning officer have to make a statement stating that they're not allowed to run? And what do you base it on? Like you said, if it's a DUI from 20 years ago, is that pertinent till now, right? However, if there's somebody that has broken into a building and robbed somebody in the last 12 months, you wanna know that too, right?
I mean, yeah, but I mean, these criminal, is that to be public knowledge? Is the thing. Oh, and it can't, the nomination day can't be September 20th, that's a Saturday.
Do I have the 18th wrong?
Well, no, the 18th is the Thursday, but the 20th would be the Saturday, so however,
Okay, whatever that Monday is, the third Monday of September,
that'd be the 15th,
or third Monday of October
is the election.
is the election, that's right. Third Monday of October,
There's
so,
Monday is the election,
so,
20th
20th, yeah. I thought it
so
was
it's the 20th, yeah.
of October,
October.
but nomination day.
Okay, well, that's 4 weeks prior to that.
So 1, 2, 3, 4, so that would be the 22nd.
And the other question that I had in this was oh, go ahead, Sasha.
Thank you. I'm just wondering if we were still keeping the advanced polling that we had last, I think it was a week prior.
We could, that's up to council if you wanna have an advanced polling day.
I think we've done that before.
We've done that before.
And we gotta make sure that we have a polling station at JB Wood, the senior center. Last time, there wasn't one in there, but it was also in the middle of COVID. And our returning officer tried multiple times through multiple means to contact somebody to set it up, and nobody ever got back to him. And seeing as it was the middle of COVID, you couldn't just show up at the front door to say, guess what, we're coming in. So there was some concern about that. And I would like to make sure that JB Wood,
Is there another location too you want that?
Yeah, they also has Pleasant View.
and Pleasant View. Now, was that a traveling one that just went?
Yeah,
like
we
we
were
could-
supposed to cover a couple of sites.
So we could make sure they go to Pleasant View and JB Wood, over that Heritage Manor as well.
I think they just went to those two, anybody in Heritage Manor could just walk
They could
over
just
to the
go over.
lodge and do that, yeah.
Did we have one at the hospital? Did we ever have one at the hospital? I thought we did once.
I don't know, that's something that'd have to be looked into and brought back closer to that, you know, is where were the polling stations? The other question I had is, you know, in here it says that there's a minimum deposit of $50.
Can you give more?
It's, well, I guess I'm just wondering if that's, again, part of the new Elections Act? Or is that an optional thing? I know in the old act, it was optional. You could put it in or you didn't have, you know, it was optional. The community or the municipality decided if they wanted an application fee. I'm wondering if this is now mandatory or
This one
it's
isn't mandatory.
it is not.
It's up to council.
It's optional.
So you didn't have to pay the last one?
No,
Okay.
We can change the amount. Some municipalities around go with $100, 50 is regular, so it can be changed, so it's up to council.
Or just eliminate.
eliminated, because it gets refunded anyways, right? And it's,
Not to everyone.
not to everybody, I mean, if you get 2 votes, no, you're not gonna get it back. But, I think that this is just adding more unnecessary paperwork. I would honestly, before we vote on this, I would like to have a copy of the local elections. I can kind of looking here online a little bit to see, but, I mean, I'd like a chance to, check some of this stuff, because, yeah, they changed some of the rules here and there.
Well, no, they made major changes. to the
Well, I mean, I was
election.
being polite about it.
Yeah.
But, you know, I kind of want that in front of me at the same time. Because, well, I mean, the crim check thing. I saw something online that said if you're gonna require that, it had to be by December 31st. And it was a copy of the Local Elections Act. Was I looking at an old cash, file or something like that?
All right, I'll have the act, right.
Yeah, and can we table this?
Yeah.
For,
It has to be changed anyway now that we made a bunch of changes.
yeah, and so, I made that motion, didn't I?
Okay, so I want to get some feedback from others before.
Yeah, no, I just wanna, I'm gonna look at it and see how I get feedback from others, then I'm gonna see how I'm gonna change this.
Okay, any other comments on this one in term from others that have curiosity on this? No, so we have the motion right now. You had made the motion to give first reading with the following changes.
Yeah, but I'm gonna say how does that work, I rescind that motion? I wanna change that to council direct administration to, investigate the changes discussed and bring it back to our next council meeting with a copy of the Local Elections Act for everybody.
questions is there a time restriction on making this motion? That we need to have it done in a certain amount of time? Or are we following
Or June.
before June? Okay, so we've got lots of time
But
to make sure
yeah,
we're.
the earlier we do this, the better.
Well, absolutely, yeah, because if we're doing this at the last meeting of, May, and we found all this, then it'd be like, wow, now what?
Fair enough. Good.
Okay, anything else? So we have you caught the new motion?
Mhm.
And Councillor Martins, you got it, the motion, the new motion?
I thought it was to table this particular item.
Yes. That's it, okay. All in favor? It's carried. Moving on then to, council goals, projects, issues and challenges. Get a motion on this one? Okay, go ahead, Councillor Dunn.
The council approved the answers as provided by the mayor and respond to, the reporter. Is that the one we want?
Sure. Well, let's start
Starts it
off, yeah.
All right.
Okay, so. Any discussion on those items, any changes, alterations?
They're all fantastic in line with what we were speaking about over the last, at least a year. I had a couple of additions. So for number one, here, so I have focused on socioeconomic betterment, and some of the subheaders are meet with local stakeholders to improve response to crime. So for example, pursue the acquisition of a mobile navigation center for our meeting with Minister, the safety minister's name, whatever his name is. And then the second bullet is follow up on business safety enhancement workshop that was to be facilitated by the RCMP. You've already got NAC reinstatement, so that's already on there. Mental health and addiction symposium. The key takeaways, what I did the report suggest as potential next steps. And I believe you made mention of this, Mayor, in one of your reports, so I don't know when it's to come to us. Number two, I had AHS engagement, which I think you've already addressed. Continued pressure on AHS to staff our center to capacity, and then add cancer therapy, because you've also added things like the health pads, they're fantastic. And then for conversations with constituents, basically, two of the bigger ones. That was what I had written down.
We caught most of that, but we lost a little bit right at the end there. You broke up and were
I think
freezing.
it was about speaking with constituents, and it was about taxes and affordability and programs, like programs and services. But taxes and affordability being the two big ones. And I have it in writing, so if
Yeah,
you
send it to us.
help to make amends, just send it to me. Exactly, I could do that.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's just trying to figure out in some of these, like I agree with you, but you know, it's things, what are the three most pressing items, and one would be crime and all of the, you know, we're not listing all of the actions that we're taking on that. Rather, you know, it's a challenge and there's things going on, or what are we lobbying the government for? You know, those are, it's hard when you're trying to keep it fairly short. I know what you're saying. There are other things that we are definitely doing. But yeah, that's where I was trying to limit it there and not get into too much detail of, you know, we're gonna have a symposium on this or that.
send it to us and we'll include it where we can.
Councillor Danaka.
Three most pressing challenges to your council is government downloading.
Yeah,
I mean, you talked about funding to replace aging infrastructure, but government downloading on municipalities, I think, is a huge one because it's costing us more and more all the time.
Yeah,
That
no, and that might be either a pressing challenge, or it was sort of mentioned up top, that grant in place of taxes, but yours is a little broader
It's
than
more
just.
broader,
Yeah, that's a good point.
leasing costs, blah, 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 blah.
So, yeah, you're right, so it could be, so. I don't know if it goes, what we're lobbying the government for, or it goes under the pressing challenges. But it is definitely one of our
Well,
issues.
it's a challenge,
Yeah,
because we have to keep finding money because they keep cutting services and then they expect the municipalities to cover those services. So that's sort of where I was getting at.
so which one of these, if we're, the question was, what are the three most pressing challenges? We would then have to take one out. Which one would we take out? Because, yeah, I agree, that is a challenge.
I mean, are you stuck on three,
No,
Chris?
I'm looking for
it helps when he's right here, we can ask him.
Yeah, Chris, you didn't mind me naming you specifically in this report?
No, if I may, that some of the bigger municipalities would list them all.
Yeah.
That's why I arbitrate through it, not if you're
Yeah.
one or two more. It's not gonna be an issue.
Okay, anything else on this item? Seeing none, we have the motion to accept with, but we want to have there is some changes here.
With the, adding, so, yeah, amended to meet, with 4 pressing challenges.
Okay, so I guess the way I'm looking at it, are we all right, like Councillor Martin's brought up some, we've got the Councillor Danaka brought up one, are we okay with, letting our CAO put those together and send it off at the end with, those changes?
Yeah.
Make them fit?
Yeah.
Okay, I see it nodding around the table, so your motion would be with the changes as,
The CEO, how, to make a motion that administration be allowed to edit, their responses, and that we agree.
okay. All in favor? Okay, that's carried. Moving on then to intermunicipal collaborative framework agreement review, 8.5. Get a motion on this one? Councillor Danaka.
The council accepts this report for information only and provide administration with issues not yet identified.
Okay.
How come I don't see, and maybe I better flip the page just to make sure, I was pretty certain I did not see recreation. Oh, there it is. Dog and a bullet. Yep, there's another real comment on that. Do we have things in recreation that we need to discuss, like just listening to issues with the pool, and some of the stuff that we're bringing things in that are going to create more opportunities for different recreation, are they also going to be
definitely one of the questions that's always asked with any of these projects, and how do we come to it? The way the ICF is written is that if either party has a capital project, they can approach the other party and see if they want to contribute. There is no, I mean, other than what's already established, if there's additional things, that has to go to, it's a request, and they can go thumbs up or thumbs down to anything addition. That's the way the current agreement is. Anything else on this one?
I think we can take broadband out of there.
Yes, we can. And I know as part of the discussions, we did remove it already. It wasn't one that we were working on anymore.
I saw it somewhere.
Yeah, it was in the original ICF framework. But in one of our discussions, initial discussions on reviewing the ICF, we said, yeah, there was a few items in there that could be taken out, and that was one of them. All right. So we had a motion to receive for information, and if somebody has something else to bring it forward to our CAO, then we'll make sure it gets brought forward. All in favor? Okay, it's carried. Moving on then to March conferences. And we're starting with the President's Summit and Leadership Caucus. Get a motion on this one?
Is this like, do you go to this typically, Brian, or?
It's open to anybody. I've gone to it in the past, but it doesn't have to be the mayor or deputy mayor. It could, yeah, it's municipal leaders. Yep, I need a motion. Councillor Dunn.
The council approved registration and travel expenses for mayor or councillor to attend the Alberta Union's President Summit and Municipal Leaders Caucus. And that council approved registration and travel expenses for mayor or councillor to attend the rural municipalities of Alberta Conference.
And the CAO.
It's on page 45, the page before, it's at the bottom of the page before.
That council approved the registration travel expenses for the CAO. That's good.
Okay. Councillor Greenville.
I'm talking a lot today, out of my voice. The only concern I have on here is in the, one state committee, David said, the CAO has tentatively registered for both conferences as part of ongoing role. Networking purposes, good. He will not be attending any other conferences or training for the rest of the year. You've got to come to the Alberta Municipalities Convention.
That's fine.
I think it's important that the CAO is there, because we went to one without our CAO when it was
Normally, in the other municipalities I've been at, and, you know, it's just, we keep it to two conferences a year, but
that's the Alberta Munis AGM is a huge one.
yeah, these ones are interesting and,
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you go here and you're going to meet people and
but the topics are what I wanted.
Well, the topics, but you're gonna meet people too, and the topics that you learn about in the seminars, very important. The people that you meet and talk to in the hallway between topics, equally as important. I would encourage you to go to the Alberta Business Conference as
When
well.
is that?
That's one, because it's an election year, it's gonna be November, and I think it's in Calgary this year. Just not in Red Deer.
It's in nowhere, yeah, it wouldn't be Red Deer.
I will attend the third.
There you go.
I had one question, I'm just wondering, like, I see that the hotel is $1,580, it seems pretty high.
It's high, it's downtown, and it's close to the conference or right on the conference.
Yeah.
So is that for all days? Like, is that for the 1,580, is that, oh, that's just for the one, eh?
For the one.
Just for the one, yeah, so.
What hotel is that?
So that would be even, the 16th you get there, the 17th, 18th, and you're leaving on the 19th. So it's 3 days and $1,500, it's $500 a night.
Check with,
That seems too high.
is that in Edmonton?
Yeah,
Check with, Bailey and Shanda and see, because there's the one that we stayed at the last time the Alberta meetings was in Edmonton, just down a little bit from the, convention center. That was relatively inexpensive. The Westin even was fairly inexpensive. See if you can.
yeah,
I'll see what I can do.
that's $500 a night.
Yeah, this is Weston for the President's Summit's Weston Hotel.
Wow. Well, I mean, the other thing too is, even if it's a little bit further away, the LRT is gonna come out right, because this is at the convention center, right? The LRT shoots you out right there. So even if it's a little bit further away, jump on the train in the morning.
Yeah, you don't want to be too far away.
No, we don't wanna be too far away, but
But there is that one, that's just down, like it's a block away, or a block and a half, the other direction, it's off to the east of the convention center. And it was much, much cheaper, than $500 a night. And then you gotta, all of these, and you go downtown, you gotta pay for parking, and it's crazy. Any other, well, I guess we said that CEO and a counselor is there, looking at the President's Summit on March 5th to 7th. Is there anybody interested in attending? Interested and or able?
I am.
Okay. Anyone else? Counselor Yashishin says yay or nay?
Yeah, I would, possibly would be with that one, I would have to check those dates, but not the 17th to the 19th, I know, not the next one, which we haven't got to yet.
And I don't know if you heard me or if it froze
Yeah.
or what happened. I don't know if you can, okay.
Okay, so we have 2 people that are available to go, or able to go. I think that's the only ones that would be able to attend.
Yeah.
So we should pick between one of them and get one approved. Is there?
double tree. Nice. Check it out.
Sorry, guys, I missed that. Was it Therese that you wanted to go, Therese?
I said I possibly could, but I would have to check the date, that's the only thing for me.
Well,
I couldn't to the second, or to the March 17th to 19th, only 5th to 7th for that one. But I'd have to check the date.
So you're not sure?
No.
Well, I mean, we've approved CAO and like a counselor or whatever, but, when do we, it's not for, do we have to give them a name right away? Right, we just have to have registration, so sort out if you can go, and then we can, and then you guys can just sort it out afterwards, yeah.
Yeah, well,
Okay, so we don't have a name for sure until next meeting to finalize that. And then looking at the RMA on the 17th to the 19th. I know Councillor Shishin is not able to
Yeah.
on the RMA.
do you need a motion?
Well, no, it's already been made by Councillor Dunn. That was part of his motion. He just didn't fill in the blanks, so we're just looking who's available on that one. I know that's one that I could attend again, but I've been to it before, but
I attended last time. And I won't be able to.
is there anybody that has not been there to RMA as a guest of the county and is able to?
I haven't,
But you can't, okay. So it's somebody that's been there before could go again kind of thing, but
Can administration reach out to Judy, since she's not here, to see if she's interested in attending either one of those?
The municipal park.
okay, so Councillor Martins or Councillor Janako was talking at the same time, so we didn't hear you. Do you want to go again?
Sorry, I'll let Councillor Tanaka finish. What was her thought, Councillor John?
Yeah, she was just saying that we could possibly reach out to Councillor Stenhouse to see if she's interested and available.
Good point. And all I was offering was that if Councillor Shishin wanted to go to the Leaders Caucus, I wouldn't mind going to RMA as well, because, but anyway, I'll let Councillor calendar and as well as, you know, when the CAO reaches out.
Okay, really what we've said at this point is that we're gonna bring it back to the next meeting and finalize.
yeah, let's just do that. It's,
Is what I'm hearing at
Yeah.
this point, right?
Yeah.
Is,
Yeah. We've made the approval, now we just gotta figure out who's going.
yeah. Okay, so we're, basically what we're saying is that the council is going to approve the registration and travel expenses of the CAO and
Member of council.
and a member of council to attend Alberta Munis and President Summit and the RMA. That's what we made the
Yes.
motion of. And then we will fill in the names at the next meeting.
Yes.
Okay, so we're all right with that? Okay, all in favor?
Did you bring-
Councillor Martins, I think you froze for a second, so I didn't see you. Okay, thank you. And, all right, moving on then to removal of the recycle fees from utility invoices. Get a move, oh, Councillor Danaka.
I make a motion that council approve the removal of $3.75 charge to high prairie property owners and update section 8F of the utility rate bylaw 04/2019, or update that in the fees bylaw.
Okay. We all know why we're asking to remove it, and at this point, to maybe get it put back in, hopefully, once we can get that, come up with option B. But at this point, a total agreement that we're not offering it, we shouldn't be charging for it, and we should be removing it from the utility bills, yeah. Councillor Waco?
The circular thing, when are we gonna have more information on that?
I received an email today from our consultant
And, looks like we're gonna be successful getting to this April first deadline, because it was gonna be delayed till October 2026. So I don't have any more information on it than that, but things are progressing. Okay.
I like progress.
All right, no other discussion on this? All in favor? Carried. Moving on to item 8.8, street signs at 51st Street and 57th Avenue. Get a motion on this.
I'll read it properly, then we'll talk. Council named the portion of road east of the co-op business as 56A Street.
Okay. Now, there was two discussions in here, but I only see one.
That was gonna be my other point there is why IMP there. When I look on Google Maps, because it doesn't lie, it lists that road that goes between IMP and Fountain Tire by the P winding down to P.V. Martin and whatnot as a service road, and like, there's no street number on it. So I thought, well, do we not have street signs there? When I went to pick up the wife from work the other day, I'm like, we've got street signs there, so we gotta tell Bill Gates that we've named this, right? That it's got a number, because otherwise, a lot of people look at Google for addresses to see, well, what's there, right? So that it appears to be named. I don't know what the process is as far as informing Google of such things. But yeah, the other part there, that's all brand new there, where the new co-op is, and you know they should have a municipal address since they are in fact within the town boundaries.
Okay, so any discussion on renaming that road east of the co-op card lock as 56A Street? Now, I'm assuming this follows all of our street naming protocols and it's been gone through.
Yeah, first-
I was wondering to also add that actually, I think that the resolution needs to have.
Sorry, you'll have to say that again.
If we wanted to add to Councillor Winkle's motion, the advertising, requirements, so I think that we need to have some sort of public advertising if we are going to make the motion to change that name, and I don't know what the specs are on how the length of advertising, what public venues, but is that necessary for you, the motion is allowed it in the public notice?
Well, that's right, and it says here in the report that, once I name the road by resolution, we advertise it for public feedback prior to any sign installation. So we'll do that.
Knowing full well that it's only ever gonna be called the road by co. Right?
Dispute that under the amendments.
Well, it is in the motion that or in the part that it's being advertised. You're just saying you would like to see that in the motion and that it be advertised? So,
I'll accept that.
okay. Okay, so we're all good with that motion, or any other discussion on it? Oh, Councillor Ishiashi.
Just one question, so it is this one that we're looking at here?
One by one, here.
Yeah, that
Okay.
one there.
And then what was this going on?
Well, let's deal with that one
Oh,
after we
it's
get
separate.
this
Okay.
one.
No, I'm all good. Okay, just making sure. Okay, thanks.
Okay, so the motion is renaming that, street by east of the, co-op card lock is 56A. All in favor? It's carried. Now, there was this other portion in here talking about that street that's a service road only, versus being 51st Avenue.
Well,
And that's it's a Google issue, but we should put in a motion. I would suggest that administration looks into correcting Google Maps because to not list that as a service road, right?
yeah, because here it is.
Yeah.
This says service road, and then, actually, it says service road all the way down.
So I'll make that motion that we ask administration to look into notifying Google Maps that it's not a service road, it is 51st Avenue, and see if we get it changed on their mapping.
Yeah, it's on,
Any other discussion on this one?
it's gonna be a little weird because on the street view map, it is marked as 51st, but on the, what would traditionally be the paper map, it just says service road on it.
Well, we'll get them to look into it.
Yeah.
see if we can get it changed.
Yeah.
It looks like we have to contact Altalis, this Calgary company. Okay.
All right. Anything else on this one?
Okay.
All in favor? It's carried. And now on our agenda, it says Waste Management Conference, but in the RFD, it says Water Management Conference. I think it's Water Management.
Yeah.
Okay. Get a motion on this one? Councillor Shishin?
I make a motion that council approve that Sasha Martins attend the Water Management Conference in Grand Prairie between the dates February 24th to 26th, 2025.
Okay. Councillor Martins, are you available?
Yes,
Are you interested?
yes, so I thought that this motion was made at the January 14th meeting, and I have since communicated with CPA Bill, and he was kind enough to make plans, and so I was surprised to see that, from the agenda, but yes, to go through the questions. Remember I said at the last meeting that Vern and I attended the last one, I presented that report. It was the glory on water management, it was the exact, the flyer was in our last meeting agenda, so it's the same event.
Okay. Okay, any other discussion on this? All in favor? Yep, okay, thank you. So it's carried. Moving on then to item 8.10, the High Prairie Golf Line of Credit. Get a motion on this? Councillor Dunn?
The council give first reading to bylaw 02/2025, line of credit loan guarantee for the High Prairie District Golf Club, this 28th day of January 2025.
Okay. Any discussion on this one? Councillor Banaka?
In the body of this RFP, administration is recommending 2 years? Or is this bylaw for 2 years, or is this bylaw for 1 year?
I think it should be for 2 years
Okay,
in place.
so it will be for 2 years, okay.
I know this is something that we've, given to the golf course every year. I don't think they've ever used it,
No.
but, it's there just in case they need it.
They're gonna send their financial statements. We should have them this week and next.
Yeah, this is, we've given, the town has covered this for time immemorial, and,
Not quite.
well, for 20 years plus, the town has done this, and we've never had to cover this. This is paperwork is what it is. 2 years is good.
All right. Anyone else on this topic?
I was just going to ask if, in my recollection, the last time this came through, we had done it, it was a multi-year, is it just annual, that we renew it every year, or did we ever do one for like a 2 or 3 year term?
I think the last one was for 2 years, if I'm not mistaken.
Right, so why is it coming back this, is that 2 years expired then?
I think the 2 years is up.
Yeah, and then, section 7 of this bylaw, it does say it expires in 2027. So it's right there, it's effective this year through 2027.
Thank you.
All right, all in favor?
Oh, yeah, Perry?
Okay. And Councillor Martins, I didn't see your vote, sorry, we're looking around. Are you in favor? Yeah, okay, thank you. Moving on to finance, capital budget approval. That's one of the amendments or the additions to the agenda. Get a motion on this one?
Whose turn is it? You haven't made any motions, Mr. Mayor.
I made one.
One.
Okay, I'll make another motion that council approve the 2025 capital budget and funding sources outlined in Appendix A. Any discussion on this? We had a whole 3 hours on it yesterday, so. All right, all in favor? Carried. Moving on to our CAO's written report and action list. Get a motion on this?
We don't need the standard 60-second wait. That council received interim CEO David Joy's report and action list for information.
It shouldn't be interim.
Oh, sorry.
Oh,
The word is there. Okay, that council received CEO David Joy's report and action list for information.
Okay, and with that, I'll turn it over to our CAO to sort of give us the highlights and maybe any additions that have happened since the report was made.
No, it's I'm onboarding, I'm getting as much information as I can. I'm glad that we've had discussions with our consultant, and because we would have really missed the boat for April 1st, and I think we kind of corrected that ship, and it was just by luck that I found her, and so I'm proud proud of that one, but, you know, the reports to council, certainly they've been interesting, the Election Act, this is new to me, and, so it'll be a great experience for me and Bailey, and I'm sure she's looking forward to it. And, I'm learning a lot along the way, so that'll take some time. You know, we've got, what I've got in front of me now is a municipal election. I'll have a report to you, next meeting on asset management plans and how, we should approach this. And then I've got training coming up for the census at the end of the month, January 30th. So I'll find out what's required there. So not only the elections, now we have a census to do this year. So it's, I think it's provincial. So the local, I think it's, provincial and local. I threw there on the bottom of the report, Mike wanted me to throw it in just for your information about moving that tourist booth. And he had called the RCMP to have them clear out the homeless people that were there. And there was a lot of garbage. But anyway, he was mentioning the cost to relocate it to the park is $8,500. Now we sell it, how much time it's going to take to sell, and what kind of fees are we going to have to incur for that. And we can demolish it for free, well, basically, using our own people and equipment. So just to keep you informed about the tourist, but I'm not asking for a decision, but you can informally tell them.
So when do you want a decision on that specifically?
I'd say the next meeting.
So you'll bring an RFP?
Yeah, it was too late to put it in for this, but I just threw it for now. So next meeting. And that's my report.
All right, I'll open the floor for questions, and I see Councillor Wakel's got his hand up.
Yeah, I'm talking lots of stuff. This, telecommunications tower thing, MMSA. Like, this has gone through 3 CAOs now. And, like, I get it, but they committed to have something to us by June 1st of last year. At least let's update that to when they're actually gonna.
Page 62 there.
Yeah, the first item on the action list.
This is this telecommunications policy.
Yeah, at least have them update when they're gonna have a draft to us on this, because that's getting embarrassing. Really, I mean.
Okay. I'll find out what's going on.
Yeah, I have one more here. The Lesser Slave Lake Regional Tourism Society on page 2 of the 3 report there. It's gonna be added to the January 2025 agenda. I didn't see it.
Okay.
So, February, I guess. But yeah, we've got to stay on top of that one there. And, nope, that's it.
Okay, any other questions for our CEO? Councillor Danaka?
I believe it was at our, either the December meeting or January meeting, I had asked that we had passed a resolution to take over that property. That derelict, whatever you wanna call it, trailer,
Oh,
whatever, so I don't see it on here, so I'm just wondering where we are at that, with that. Because there was a motion, I believe it was Council Stenhouse who had made that motion to start the process of evicting that particular tenant, landowner, and taking possession of that property.
Okay, I'll have to look into that.
I don't,
We- It's taken off because we do have possession, and I think bylaw is dealing with the eviction, but we do have possession of the property.
We do have
Yes.
possession? Okay,
so when was it taken off?
I want to say in December, because it was on one, and then I had it showed up as completed.
Oh, okay.
It's just, we missed it, but it's completed, yes.
So I guess, I think Councillor Danak is wondering where we're at with it, other than we've taken it over. Has it, that property been cleaned up? Has it been?
Not yet.
Not yet, okay.
okay.
There might be some legal things to watch out for as we're moving their property, because I know it was full of old trailers, cars, and junk.
I could have a report next time.
The tenants are out, but the property is untouched. So they've moved out, but everything else is still there.
So do you know why it's still there and why we haven't cleaned it up?
McSteel hasn't made it.
I was gonna say exactly that.
Could be that, yeah. No, I'm just curious, because it is, it's a real eyesore. It'd be nice to get that cleaned up.
And mowed down to the dirt.
All right, anything else, Councillor Danak?
No, that's it.
Good. Anybody else? I had a question around, I'm just curious, I noticed that the fire chief position is being advertised. How are we making out for applicants on that?
No applicants yet. The deadline is February 7th. I have heard one of the volunteer firefighters is interested. I talked with him briefly. I'm waiting for his application. But nothing yet, so we'll see. I'm hoping Monday there'll be stuff on my desk, or I'll be sent emails by the different applicants. I usually leave it till the last moment sometimes.
Yep.
All right, and the other thing I just wanted to mention, I know it sort of came to mind after, and it's around the returning officer and the next election is, I know that one of the provisions is to make sure that we have an electors list. And I think we need to pay close attention to that, and make sure we get that started so we have it ready for the election, and it's sort of who can vote and who can't and what they need to make sure. I just, because I know the last one, we didn't have it really nailed down, and I heard there was possibly some issues. I don't know for sure. All right, anything else? All right, we have a motion to receive the report for information. All in favor? Okay, thank you. So with that, we will move on then to our correspondence, starting with the High Prairie Gun and Sportsman Show. And can we get a motion on this one?
Are we just receiving this one for information, or do they want us to commit to our table here?
I think we should commit to our table and getting our table and set up again.
Yeah. So I'll make the motion that we receive this for information and register for this year's gun show.
Well, let's just put it to register for this year's gun show versus receiving for information, right? Because that's what we want to do.
Yeah, if you receive it for information, you don't do anything with it.
That's what I was saying, and.
Yeah.
Just,
Okay, all right, so I'll make the motion then that we register for this year's gun show, same as last year.
All right, and I believe last year we had the 10x10 booth.
Yeah.
And we were right close. So I mean, the location was good. I think putting putting it right by the gateway between the two and being close to the county was really good.
Yeah, then they usually try to accommodate people that come back to put them in the same spot if they so wish.
Yeah, if we can, so if we get that registered, yeah. The other thing, just for David's sake, is that we needed to start sort of getting a list of who can work and at what time. So we put together that work list and which counselors can work, and then usually some of the staff fill in when the counselors can't be there. So you can sort of get a list together or some times, sort of what we had done before, I think should be out there, sort of that template of the times. And then, we got the counselors to fill in when they could, and then they could work it, and then the rest of it was fill in with staff to work the rest of it.
How long do you like to be at the booth? 2 hours at a time?
Yeah, it was on that, I'll call it a template, that schedule, it was 2 hours, I believe, maybe 3, something like that.
That was 4.
4 hours.
Yeah.
Was it 4 hours at a time? Oh,
Not necessarily, it was listed like from the, like 10, 11, 12, 1, 2 until it closed, and then people would usually take a block.
Oh,
Like I'll
yeah.
take these 3 hours and somebody could only do 1 hour, or et cetera, et cetera.
Oh, okay, I thought it was there was a 3-hour block, a
No.
2-hour block, no, okay.
Okay.
No, but we can work on something
Yeah.
that's done before,
As well, we always had door prizes,
yes.
some kind of door prize for kids and adults.
And some giveaways.
Yeah, and always some swag, which
Some
we don't have anything of.
So we may have to order some swag, whether it be, we had pens there before, and we usually, like Councilor Denakis says, a draw for, some bike helmets, and for kids, and the adults was, what, I can't remember what we drew for.
I think last year it was a hoodie and a hat and
Something like
something,
that.
whatever. And usually we try and have something at the table, like, we either had a survey, or last year we had the spray splash park thing
Question on it.
for people to choose which one they prefer and whatnot, so.
Okay.
So that's something that we'll, should bring back on what's the question that we want to have, or what would we like to ask the people, so we can be ready, but we will need some swag and something for a draw box to get people to our booth.
And if we could do something with our booth in terms of the background, because we have that fold out town map or whatever and stuff, but it is severely outdated. Like really bad. Because I mean, when you get people who come to the booth, they're like, oh, that's not the sand store anymore, that's Spiegels, and they point out, well, that's not that anymore, and.
Is that that aerial map that we got the picture of in the office back here?
I don't know, maybe.
No, it's similar to that, but it's not that same picture.
Maybe what we can do is, get another picture taken, see if somebody's got a drone, or see if somebody's got a plane that they go up in and snap a few pictures and. Doesn't somebody in the county have a drone?
Yes, I don't know if this is the best time to take a picture and
Oh,
make
no.
a new, because we've got to have this done and ready for, the April. I don't think we want to invest in a whole new, those
No,
kind
not
of
yet.
drops
So,
are 3-4 grand, yeah.
That would be
and we
expensive.
can't remember or find a receipt to where that one was ordered. And every site that we've looked at won't print something that big, but I do have a cart full of new supplies, new swag, new signs, new tablecloths, so we just need it to be okayed and everything's good to go, but we won't have a picture that big until we can find a company that's willing to do one.
The other option for a background is you don't have to have the picture on it. I kind of like the picture, but you know, like the aerial photograph of the town, but you don't have to have that. You can have just the, you know, a high prairie with a logo and a big logo and a, you know, you can do something else. I don't know if we want to have that done in time or if we really like the idea of the.
Because right now I have, I think, just one of the standing, like more slim, long.
The pull-up banners.
Yeah, I have one of those, but I can easily put together like a flag-sized one with the logo on it if that's, instead of the aerial picture. That's easy. That can be done.
What does the county do? How's their booth?
They have a big backdrop, but their backdrop is not of an aerial photograph. Their backdrop, if I remember right, is sort of like pictures from around from around the county, like pictures of a lake or somebody on the lake or somebody, you know, snowmobiling, that kind of thing. It was different pictures all melded into sort of a collage with Big Lakes County on it.
I think if what Bailey's saying, if she's got something that would work this time, and then that's definitely something we can move forward with. You know, whether it's a whole new backdrop or, yeah, it takes time, I know it does, because I know, we're just doing it over there. And it's not easy, yeah.
No,
It takes a little bit of time to do, and money to do.
It does.
We
That
have 2
was
months.
what I did lots of as
Right.
part of was the recruitment part of my portfolio at the college was getting those in and getting, they're not cheap and they do take some time.
Take
But
time.
you don't, I mean, the aerial photograph, I like it, but it's always dated, right? As soon as you take the photo, the next year it's dated. And then, you know, do we want to come up with just a design that goes on there versus an aerial photograph? But I do agree, it'd be nice to get an updated photo. Regardless, we could do that, but it's not gonna happen in time for this.
No.
We can pursue it throughout the year for next year.
Yeah, and I think the photo, if it's gonna be taken, midsummer kind of thing, and then that gives us time in the meantime to find somebody. Staples doesn't do anything that big, or scenes photography, or,
I don't know.
how big is this thing anyways? I'm trying to remember.
It's 8 feet across, 8 or 10. I can't remember what the town's is, but your booths are 10 feet across and those backdrops cover the full 8 to 10 feet. And you can get all kinds, like the one that the town has is a very minimalistic one. You can get way fancier ones with, but that one, I think it works good because we only attend really one event a year with that, or maybe 2 events where it gets pulled out, as opposed to, you know, at the college might have attended 30 events a year, right? So we had multiple backdrops and stuff like that we could use. But I'm just saying that, you know, we need to decide if we want a new backdrop, what that should look like. And I like the photo, but it's gonna be out of date in 1 or 2 years. So you're always gonna be doing this if we wanna have an up-to-date photo. That's not gonna work because they are, like, those backdrops are expensive.
Yeah, but I mean, at this point, because I think if it's the photo I'm thinking of, it's from like 2008. Okay, right, like that picture can just about go, but I like the idea of the photo, even if it is a little bit out of date. It's like, oh, look, we can see Howard's mom's house, or hey, that was a great place there. Yeah, it's pretty good now too that it's this place, and you know, I'm okay with that to a certain degree. Like if it's something we did every 10 years, update the photo instead of every 20, maybe. It'll depend on how much it costs.
I know I have some photos from the air, but they're at a distance that you can't really pick out things. But you do see the town spread out and a little bit of surrounding area, which is kind of nice too. And then maybe it wouldn't date so bad.
You know, we could use a graphic
Lots of
design.
ideas.
We can use a graphic design, but give me a limit on how much I can spend.
Well, I mean, we're not gonna do that this year, so wait, I mean, that's a discussion we can have
I'll bring the cost to you.
at another meeting or whatever, and we've decided we're going with this, so let's just.
But if we want something classy, then, and that won't be outdated, I think we have to go use a graphic design. I'll work with Bailey on this.
I think for swag, we need to do some chairs and put our high prairie town that you can rest in or relax in.
The big chairs and one of those.
No, just camping chairs.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea.
An Adirondack chair.
Yeah.
I only know what an Adirondack chair is called that because of Cash Cow. It was the video question at the end, and they got it.
Okay, so just to summarize all of our discussion, is number one, we want to make sure that we register for a vote. And we're gonna come up with this schedule, administration will start that. The administration needs to come up with the swag and the draws for the booth. Council wants to come back and have a discussion on what's the question or topic that we want brought to that gun show. And lastly, when we talk about the display, we're gonna keep the display as is for this April. But we do want to start looking at what some other options would be. And as of course, with some like the photos, some would like to get rid of it. And, there's pros and cons to both, but maybe come back with some costs and some ideas and go from there. Now, we said a whole bunch of things, but the only motion was to register us for the booth, right?
Yeah.
And that's the motion?
Yeah.
All in favor? All right, thank you. So next is the letter from Minister Lowen. Get a motion on this one. Councilor Daneka,
I make a motion that, council receive the letter from Minister Lowen for information.
okay, thank you. And we are working with FRIA, we are getting that study done, and then once we get the study done, then we can look at what work needs to be done, and we can apply for the FRIA grant to get some of that work done to fire smart our community. But the first step is what we got the grant for, and that was to do the study on what we need to do. So,
I would like to give a shout out to the farmers around the community that have surrounded us with a lot of dirt. That helps quite a bit.
exactly, yeah. Okay, any other discussion on this one? All in favor?
Did she freeze?
No. Councilor, okay, there's her motion, yep, thank you. There's a lag there between when we call the motion and then when she's able to, I think when she gets it. All right, upcoming meetings, anything that we need to know there? Nothing coming up other than our regular committee meetings that might be coming up? Yeah. Nothing, okay. So moving on then to our written and verbal reports. Councilor Daneka.
No report.
Councilor Dunn. All right, Councilor Martins.
The airport committee, I shared this in our budget meeting. One of the big takeaways for capital was that roof or from a safety perspective. They also shared the excellent results. I know a lot of you attended the fly-in barbecue, so it was very well attended. We had increased our gasoline prices slightly, but we're still, I want to say 40 cents below like Grand Prairie. So we're seeing a good influx of flights coming in, and they actually pick High Prairie deliberately because of that lower gas price. That was the airport committee, and that route extension would cost us 50% if it is something the town would agree to. I'm thinking it's going to come up at your ICF here in the next week or so. With the watershed, we did a roundtable. I told the group that we had our new CEO, our executive director, that was very happy to come back to council and do a refresher on sort of riparian and watershed management, just a little, kind of synopsis of the program. I did mention again our shop, our workshop, our High Prairie, the public workshop, that slope and embankment, if there's any sort of erosion type of like willows or something, they actually go out, I don't keep it to let you someone walk by and make an introduction. The Kids Can Catch event is in Jussard on the 15th of February. And we already talked about the water management boreal workshop that's happening at the end of February. And those are the two items I have from those two committee meetings. Any questions? If not, I will move my verbal report for information.
All right, I'll open the floor, see if we have any questions. And then I just want to check with Bailey, you got that Councillor Ganeka left the meeting and when she comes back. Perfect, okay. I don't see any questions, so all in favor of receiving her report? It is carried. For my report, I did have a Heart River Housing meeting. Not much to report on there, other than number one, the Flair project is sort of coming to fruition. They're on budget, but not on time. And basically the board's okay with it, with the provision that we want to make sure things are done right and not just push through to get done by the timeline. So we're letting the contractor go. It's just difficulty getting some of the finishing carpenters up there that need to get in and get some of the stuff done. So there's some good and a little bit of bad. And I know there's some people that we're sort of hoping that they would be in May. Some have actually sold their house and are planning to now have to, because it probably won't be ready till June, have to live with somebody else for a month kind of thing until it's ready. So there's a push to get it done, but they want to get it done right, and they're very happy with the quality of work. It's being done very well. And I did sit in on one of their meetings, and it was a world of difference with the contractor that they're dealing with than what we dealt with in the High Prairie bill. That was a war at every meeting, and this was very working together to make the best project and everything else. So it was good to see the difference between contractors there.
Yeah, just me.
Yeah, oh yeah, right. We have, I had a joint recreation committee meeting, and I'll try to summarize some of the highlights of that. There was a mention that and actually a rec manager mentioned it at the last meeting, that one of the pumps went out and they had to close the main pool and the water slide and stuff for a couple of days. They're having issues with a different pump and therefore some of the attractions in the leisure pool, like the big mushroom thing, aren't working because they're not. So, like she said, some of those pumps are rotting from the inside out, and they look good. And there is actually a few extra pumps there, but of course it's the pumps that they don't have that are going. And it's kind of frustrating because there's like 9 or 10 big motors and pumps in there, and you can't just interchange them. They're not all the same. You would think that you'd put one size of pump in there, but nope, they're all different. So you gotta have like 10 different ones, and now, like she had mentioned, it's hard to get them and stuff like that. And as she mentioned yesterday, as this pool is now 20, 25 years old, everything is getting close to the end of its life, and lots of changes or lots of things are going to be coming due, and repairs and maintenance needed for it. She talked about at the meeting, budget meeting, about the leaky roof at the Sports Palace. She'd mentioned that at the Joint Rec Committee, getting a price to fix it. She mentioned at the budget meeting, the CN grant for the playground was denied. She's working hard on getting some pricing for the splash park so that it can go to each councils and get that started and get a contract awarded now so that they can start on it in the spring and hopefully get using it before the end of the year. What else can I mention? Well, she mentioned that the arenas, especially the Sports Palace, is booked basically from noon till 10 every night. If there isn't minor hockey in there, they've opened it up for shinny, and they've been getting a good turnout for the shinny games. There's a lot of so much so that they are looking at opening up both arenas for the shinny so that it's not too crowded out there. So that's the Joint Rec Committee meeting. I met with our local prosecutor and the staff sergeant from the RCMP to try to get both of those parties on board to say, look, we've got an issue in town with crime, and we were told at one point to get these community impact statements in, but there's never been an opportunity to really get these community impact statements submitted, because either the RCMP will, on their discretion, not charge somebody because it's fairly minor, and then they know it's probably not going to get pursued by the prosecutor. If it does make it to the Crown, they look at it and try to make a decision as to, is this what we should be using the court's time with? And make a judgment call, and they let a lots go from there. And we said, this is, some of these things seem minor, but when you have continuous problems, it does impact our community. So how do we deal with that? That was the discussion, and the suggestion was, number one is to make sure that the RCMP and the peace officers are charging the offenders and not giving them a free pass. Number two is that once there is a charge, that we should be submitting our community impact statements right at that point in time, so that the prosecutors know that this is a repeat offender and some of the issues that they're causing. And we gave examples of, the people going, sleeping or defecating in the banks, in the little lobbies there, or in the post office and everything else. So we can't pick up our mail late. We can't access our cash at the banks anymore. So that was the result of that one. Hopefully we can get that done. I know I did talk with Alan after that meeting to say, work with the RCMP, pick your top 4 or 5 offenders and really go after them. And make sure those community impact statements get in as soon as they're charged. And the staff sergeant said that he would talk to his constables to get them to do some of the charging. And the prosecutor for our region is at least now more aware of the issues that we're having. So hopefully those things will result in something good, and we can deal with some of these top offenders or repeat offenders. Had that call with the CEO of Primary Care Alberta. Not really that much came from that meeting, other than she had informed us that as of February 1st is when some of the changes are taking place. And one of the changes is that the clinic is now going to be run by Primary Care Alberta. The hospital is still going to be run by Acute Care or AHS. So the Alberta Health Services is looking after the hospital, but the clinic is run by Primary Care, and what she was working on. She's informed me that there won't be, to the general public, they will not see any difference, right? It's still going to be run the same way it was, except that they'll be looking after versus AHS. She said lots will be going on in the background, and they've worked out how they can go from primary care and getting paid there, and then if they go to the hospital and they're working with AHS, that they're going to get paid, and she said that there was some glitches in how all that was going to work, but she says she feels that that's been worked through and that it's going to be relatively smooth, and the general, everything for the public, they won't notice a change, but there will be some changes sort of behind the scenes that is happening. And with that, I'll move my report for information unless there's any questions. Councillor Wakefield.
Really the only one that I got is regarding the repeat offenders there. And I'm specifically thinking about the guy that Ron Shunker is having those issues with at Boxy. Sent us all that email and, escorting this guy up. This guy apparently had been in jail for some time. And then we got to know how this works too. When they get released from jail for whatever, what do? Do they just bring them into town and drop them off? Or do they have to have somebody that picks them up that's going to take some sort of responsibility for them? I think that needs to be part of the conversation that we're having as well. Because if somebody just gets out of jail, and it doesn't matter if it's for 2 weeks or 30 days or 60 days, whatever it is, you're coming out and what have they got? What are they going to? What's the plan going forward? It can't just be, all right, see you in a couple weeks. Because I know that's Ron's frustration, because I think he's got a no trespassing order against the guy now. But it's a frustration. The guy comes in there, he's not buying anything, he's going in there to steal stuff. And that's a pain in the ass to Ron, it's a pain for any business that's dealing with any of these people. So is that something that we can follow up with these guys on with?
Well, those kind of repeat offenders, I think, are the ones that they would follow up on.
Well,
right?
but we also, when they're released, what's the protocol around that? They just dump them on the street? I just drive after.
Yeah, I don't know if the RCMP or the prosecutor's office knows the answer to that, but yeah, we can ask them.
Yeah, we gotta find out what's going on, because you can't just have them released with no support. There has to be something, family member or something in place where they have something to go to instead of just, there you go. See the way?
part of the discussion that we did have was if we can get some of these people incarcerated for a period of time, and they can, oftentimes they have some type of addiction or issue, and if they can get some help for it, maybe that'll help, but like I say, if they come right back into the same situation that they were in before, the same result is likely gonna happen. So they need to want to make a change, and if they can at least get sober enough to look at it and make those changes, then at least maybe some of them won't reoffend, right? Like that's the hope, but.
Yeah. Like I said, we gotta know when find out what's the protocol, when they're done their sentence. Do they just open the door and they walk out? Do they get a bus ticket somewhere? And if it's to here, why here? Well, that's where they wanna go. Why? What's here for them? You know, do they live here? Where's your house? Where's your family? Like, what is your support network coming out with that? It's a larger question than just High Prairie. This is not just a High Prairie problem. This is what's the word I'm looking for? An institutional problem. If we're gonna incarcerate these guys because they deserve it, when they come out, like you said, they can't just be thrown back to the wolves. Otherwise, the same stuff's gonna happen again. And in the meantime, we have business owners and homeowners and visitors who are victimized by the same people in a lot of cases with the same crap. And it's gonna get to the point where, God, I hate saying this, but somebody's gonna take matters into their own hands. I don't wanna see that, but that's kind of where it's pushing towards. So, yeah, if we can find out what happens when they're released, what the protocol around that is, I'd love to hear that.
Councillor Shishin?
And I think those are some of the concerns that we brought to Minister Ellis as well, right? And, you know, we had, I think, a fairly good discussion with them there. They listened to us. Like you're saying, it's not just High Prairie thing, it's communities all around. And so, yeah, just, you know, what is that solution and what are some of those solutions, right? And there definitely needs to be, you know, some changes there, absolutely. And yeah, and I hope that's, you know, I hope we can move forward in that. And I hope that's something that we're able to start to see and get some answers, for sure.
Okay, seeing nothing else, I'll move my report for information. All in favor? Okay, that's carried. Councillor Waco.
I'll keep it short. None of my committees have met, but I do have a couple of things here. We're replacing all of the HVAC stuff at the Moose Tooth building, and while we're doing that, when was the last time we cleaned the ducting in that building? Nobody here knows, but that's something that if we're going to replace all of that, we might as well blow those vents out, because the library has mentioned that they are constantly dusting. Now, you know, you put the new HVAC up, you put new filters up, that's going to help, but if the ducting are full of dust, debris, and whatever, then, you know, you're behind the 8 ball before you even know to start. So if we check into that, that'd be great to see if we can get that done at the same time. And the other thing is, I guess it's been confirmed that all PV marts are going to be closed now, which sucks, but we got to start looking for something to fill that spot. Canadian Tire, I don't know, Bob's Farm Supply, I don't care, but if we get the word out there, because there's going to be 79 other communities across the country looking to fill that retail space.
90.
Oh, was it 90? I thought it was 79. Regardless, there's a lot, including, I think, Peace River's got one, Fairview, I think, has one, and we've got one, so we got them up here. I want to jump on this bandwagon right away and, you know, find out, we gotta stay on top of this and find out, what their dispersal plans are. And maybe there's somebody gonna sweep in and buy the buildings, and it'll be, you know, Meavy Park will open up there, kind of thing, right? It'll be the same thing, same store, just change the name a little bit. I'd love to see that, but again, I wanna stay on top of this, and I wanna be a dog with a bone with this one. I don't wanna let it go, because that's a big retail spot to be empty in their community, and I don't want that to, I don't want it to fester. That's it, that's my report. I looked at for information.
Related to that, has anybody got confirmation on what's happening with the field store? Because I've heard, number one, they're closing, and that's obvious, they're closed, right?
Yeah.
But I've also heard that they were relocating in town, and I'd heard it was the old Bay or the old Pegasus bookstore, but I don't see any activity over there. So anybody know more? No? Okay.
All I know is that the Pegasus building, the Old Bay building, has been sold. So to open that up, you know, they'd have to tear out all those inner walls, and that would take some time. I don't even know if that's where they're gonna go. It's really the only logical place where they can go in town, because when I first heard they were closing and they were gonna relocate in town, it's like, where? And then I was told the other day that the Vegas building is sold, so in there, maybe, but
No, I've heard that, but I don't have any, you know, confirmation, that's what I was.
the only confirmation I have is that that building did sell.
I did talk at PV Mart just for information that they did say it would be, that the store would be closing, and their best estimate was between 4 and 6 months from now. They didn't have a specific date at this point in time, but that was what the employees there know, was they're sort of been told 4 to 6 months.
It's probably gonna come down to, as stores run out of, product, then it'll be packed up, moved to the closest one, and then they'll just continue to sell it down until they're to the point where they just liquidate it, is probably what they'll do. But, you know, there's no point in waiting 6 months before we start screaming for somebody. Did we lose that?
Yeah, we lost.
There's no point in waiting to, start that ball rolling.
Well, and that building was owned by somebody else, so we could see what the owner has planned for it.
Yeah.
It's the same guy that built the Tim Hortons, right?
It's a good, perfectly good building. It's not even that old. What have
Okay,
they been there 6 years?
Perfect maybe for a field store.
I mean, big field store.
All right, we have the report for information. All in favor? It's carried. Councillor Ishishin?
I just had one meeting, and it was the Highbury Airport Advisory Committee meeting, which was on January 21st. As Councillor Martin mentioned already, I won't repeat. She did a great job at summarizing that there. But one of the main things brought up was the safety concern with the roof on the airport building that's on the south side facing the airstrip there. It gets filled with the snow and ice, and then it all crashes down on whoever's walking there. So it wouldn't take too much to put something there to make it safer. So as Councillor Martin said, we'll see that come up in the future here. Otherwise, yeah, the fly-in was a great success. Lots of people. I saw lots of public, so it was great to see everybody out. And hopefully, this year's event, it won't be as big because it won't be the official fly-in, but it would still be the barbecue and more of a local fly-in. I mean, still people come from Grafton, and probably a lot of the same people would come in. So great event, great for the public to see lots of different aircraft. So look forward to that in the future. And if no questions, I'll move my report.
Okay, anything for Councillor Yashishin? I'm just, texting Councillor Martin, she was saying she got kicked off. I said, try again, because it's, we're back on. Okay, nothing? All in favor? All right, so we do have,
One more thing.
Councillor expense claims.
I'll move that the councillor expense claims for December 2024 be received for information.
All in favor? Carried. You're back. Okay, well,
Yes, I didn't, put all in favor, because I wasn't sure what I was voting on. So-
oh, we're just voting to receive the, council expense claims for information. You may not have got them, I don't know, did you send them out by email?
Was anything sent out then? Well, so you haven't received them.
Okay, we can put them in our mailbox. Okay. All right, we'll take a 10-minute break.